Today, we will meet a legendary teacher, a top choreographer, Nagode Ambroz.
She also finished 7 years of musical school playing the piano, finished education as a dance teacher, trainer and adjudicator with the sport faculty in Ljubljana. As adjudicator and trainer she have more than 30 years of experience, and until the present day she was teaching, lecturing or adjudicating in 51 different countries. Author of the book Back to the Roots, the authentic Cuban footprint in competitive Latin American dancing. She organized an educational project Cuban Experience in Havana in cooperation with the leading Cuban experts from Instituto Superior de la Arte. On Spotify platform she hosts podcasts with the celebrities from the world of dance. Spotify, Barbara's Dance Room. Awarded with the Carl Allen Award 2022, International Recognition of Excellence. As a teacher and lecturer, she specialized in dance technique, dance education, holistic approaches to the dance training, characterization, music movement relationship, and partnering. Her special interest is in the studying and research of Latin American music, rhythms, and authentic dance form. You can find more of her publications on her website, barbaradance.com.
Barbara, it is a pleasure to have you on Dance Analyze channel, and thank you for accepting to share it a little bit about everything what we will talk now.
Thank you for having me, Sergey. It's a pleasure.
I have a questions, of course, for Barbara. For me, personally, you are a legendary teacher. So you created so many great dancers. How did you manage to create such blend? It's not one student. It was a lot of students. It was like a fabric, Urshka Dance School, Urshka, and you personally, a fabric for successful dancers. Where this secret?
There is no secret. I just felt already when I was 18 years old that I want to teach. It was a little bit in the family because my mother was kindergarten teacher, my auntie was school teacher, so I just felt I would like to teach dancing even when I was a competitor. So yes, then over 45 years of teaching, you meet big number of dancers from all over the world. We started with a lot of enthusiasm. I was the first one in Slovenia back then who started to work in a primary school twice per week. One of your previous dance partners, Katja Klep, started there as well. I had Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 groups. And after a year of working with primary school kids, interest was growing, so I asked in the club where I was competing at the time, would it be possible that we would start training young dancers? And this is how we started. And then it was growing from year to year. It helped a little bit because at the time I became also a national amateur Latin champion, so I was a little bit of a role model for young dancers at the time. So yes, that's how it started, with a lot of enthusiasm, devotion, and of course over the years with consistent cooperation with the best experts in the world.
Yeah, so it was a lot of people coming to teach here?
Yeah, we were probably first starting with international training camps. I mean, you were 17 at the time, if I remember right, coming from Ukraine, and we did it twice per year, 3 weeks in summer in July and then a week in February. We always attached these international training camps with competitions we were also organizing, and yes, it was growing from year to year. So dancers like yourself, Slavik, Joanna, Michael, I mean many great dancers were coming, yes.
Yeah, that's true. I remember this time it was like, oh, unbelievable. I was surprised at how this little country, Slovenia, it's not a lot of population here. It's like, in that time it was less than 2 million, but it was so strong in dance world. I mean, in that period of time, let's say Russian Federation was not at all even close to any results. It was a lot of world champions. Yeah, what system? Is it some system particular or just this working with the experts? And
No, I think there are various factors which influenced the flourishing of competitive dancing in Slovenia. Definitely, Slovenian people, we are disciplined, hardworking.
yeah,
We have strong awareness of our culture, top sportsmen, probably in every field
yeah,
of sport.
yeah,
Art is appreciated, and I think it was a good combination, and also maybe geographically, like this middle European position, you know,
was allowed.
Austrians and Germans above, and we got school system from, you know, Austro-Hungarian kingdom,
Yeah, yeah.
so discipline. And then we have then Balkan South, which is already a bit more relaxed way
Yeah,
of living,
emotional.
and socializing, and yes, also expressing emotions. And then like Italy, another neighbor where this Mediterranean flavor comes. So I think we were always living under influences from
From all the
various cultures, yes, and we could somehow, being so small, absorb those influences, and that gave maybe a uniqueness to our school of dancing in my country.
I think so. So what you wanted to say, it is important this cultural mentality, talent, or discipline?
The love for what you are doing. I think that's what's the most important, you know. You have to love it. And yes, I was also surrounded all my career, not only here in Slovenia, but also worldwide, with great experts and like-minded people. And I think we were growing together. We were shaping something valuable together. So I strongly believe in the power of community, being part of something greater than just yourself.
Yeah, I remember these camps with all these names. It was such a pleasure to be in on these camps and learn from all of these people. Yeah, it was great, absolutely. Which dancer or dance couple do you remember most in your teaching career? Like it was influenced on you or staying in your mind?
I think it would be actually not proper to mention any names, because I was really blessed with so many great dancers. I could be part of their journey. And the beauty of that profession is that many of ex-champions or top competitors are still part of my life today. We still meet. Of course, now we are colleagues. It's not anymore a teacher-student relationship. But yes, we meet, and that's beautiful. I'm now teaching all around the world already children of
children, of our students.
Yes. Yes, I'm a grandmother.
Great journey, I think.
No, but there were many, and each of them, you know, doesn't matter how successful the competitor is or a performer is. Each student leaves a little trace in your heart, you know, and then you have memories and you remember going through, of course, tough situations as well together and overcoming them and finding solutions. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, life. Yeah, it's like going and then kind of circling and everything. Question like this, honestly, that's why I'm curious. It is not in prepared this question. I remember when I was starting coming to Urshka Dance School, and first time a witness of your work when you was working with the milicijas, and it was Yuri Batagel in that time. I mean, it was future champions. Some of them was already. I love choreographies. You was my idol in sense of how to create this fluidity movement. How it comes on you? Is it your natural Is it your talent or your thinking?
Well, I never saw myself as a choreographer, honestly. Of course, I was doing choreographies for the couples I was coaching regularly, but big impact on development of how I saw choreography was actually Mick Stylianos. He was coming for many years to teach in our studio, and of course we all know he is one of the greatest choreographers. And just observing him working, you know, because he was so intuitive and instinctive and playful like a child, very free-spirited. And of course I know that one part of me is also that playful child, but I think not in choreography. I feel good in manipulating material. Maybe not in inventing sense, because there are other people who are much greater in inventing, you know, something new. But I was very good in manipulating existing into, let's say, a meaningful unit. And still nowadays, I can see and, you know, manipulate very fast in few minutes material, and suddenly it flows differently. That's maybe my strong side, yes. I don't know. I think it's a combination of years of observation as well.
And
You
experience.
learn to observe how others work, how they touch, you know, the material or the dancer, how they know how to pull out. And that was maybe another strong impact was Ruud Vermeij. We are cooperating with Ruud over 30 years now. He's, of course, genius as an expert, and he introduced so many unique things in competitive dancing, like Laban theory, dynamic theories. I mean, endless materials we could all learn from and starting to apply into our daily teaching. And definitely Ruud was one of the first who showed me the way how not to put in information into the dancer, but how to pull out what already exists in them. And if you have the right touch, and of course also the language and energy, people start to open and suddenly things come out of them and you witness miracles in a way.
What is important for you when you see the dancer? You look the couple and you generally already get the feeling. What you actually see first on the dancers?
Well, I first ask them what they want to do, you know,
Of course.
because if I enter there with my vision or my ideas, what needs to be developed or improved, maybe they will shut down. So in my working methods, I would generally ask dancers what they want to do, which aspect of their dance they want to develop or upgrade or layer with new ideas. And when they tell you, then you are on the right track. So they guide me.
So or they guide you, but you know, like we have different levels of dancers. Let's say junior to typical situation. They come in, they dance and have a clue. Normally, you ask it, I don't know.
Oh, they know.
They know.
You just have to ask the right
Right way.
and have patience. Maybe with youngsters, sometimes wait a little bit, that they collect courage, that they tell you. But yeah, I think communication with the dancer, that they feel involved, it's very important.
Yeah. Next question. Do you have any regret in life? But generally, you know, like it's not about only dancing, but
Not at all. Next question.
Yeah,
I really don't.
That's what
I
just.
truly have faith, you know. I have faith. I feel all my life I am beautifully guided, whatever you call it, you know, universal wisdom or intelligence. I feel I'm not alone. I feel protected, supported. And then, of course, also with other human beings, with my colleagues, with my close friends and family. So, yeah, you travel through life and you deal with whatever challenges life brings. And you learn through years to observe also yourself a little bit more precisely, how you think, how you act.
So
Yeah.
you're thinking in sense of, is no mistakes in life.
No.
So you learn, you do
Like
something.
in dancing, you know, in dancing I would never say this is wrong or this is a mistake, which is or was in the past very much Eastern mentality,
Yes,
you know.
yes,
This
socialist
is
mentality.
wrong. Yes, you have to do it right. I would never use these words, mistake or wrong. If something is really weird happening in front of my eyes, I would maybe just say, wow, interesting. Tell me more about it. So I'm curious, you know. If you keep curiosity as a teacher, rather getting annoyed if things are not going the way you want, you know, but just simply be there curious, there is always a good solution out of any situation.
Sounds really good advice, actually.
Yeah, you know, sometimes we are captured maybe in our own views, schools of thought. Many teachers would teach the way how they were taught, so it goes from generation to generation. And of course, if you take Eastern Europe, always produced very well, to the point, trained competitors. But sometimes there was not enough space for them to express how they would want or feel, because they were just obeying the order or instruction of the teacher. You know, you have to do it like that.
So you think it is difference between to create or coach it, teach it, be a competitive and being a dancer?
Well, at the end of the day, you can compete only with yourself. So any thoughts about competition can be dangerous and destructive. A performer performs, doesn't compete. Of course, we all compete with ourselves because we have our visions and ambitions, and we try to overcome our own limitations. So there is a competition going on within every person, you know, who doesn't deal with this eternal question, am I good enough? What's the next step?
So kind of frustration.
Should do, yes. But I see dancers as performance. For me, dance is art. Of course, we compete, so there are elements of sport. But for me, the major essence of dancing is to have, of course, trained body as a sportsman, but you are expressing yourself in artistic way.
I understand. Is it a part of show inside, or it is only a like a sport and art?
For that you have to read Ruth's book, you know, because he explains beautifully this interplays in between sport, art and show. Well, all elements are there. I think the question is how wise dancers or coaches are to make them being embraced in a meaningful unit, in expressing something which says something, which has underlied purpose in saying it in a particular way. So I think at the end of the day we all search for meaningful expressions which also touch our emotions, because that's the beauty.
So to be a good teacher, or if someone would like to become a legendary in the future, need to be, as it sounds for me like this, like a good with himself, you know, like in kind of balance. At least that's what I somehow get the message now. And keeping educated.
Yeah, well, you know, people have different drives and motives when they work. You know, some want recognition, success, becoming legends, or earn more money. There are many drives in us. I think it's a very personal choice, you know, what drives you. I'm driven with my own curiosity, and I have an intention to become better in what is my profession, even today. And how to do that, of course, there are various possibilities. Staying open-minded, staying transparent, you know, honest to your own thoughts and feelings, because we live in quite a stressful period of time, you know, for various reasons. We went through pandemic and there are wars. So we have a lot of reasons to be anxious, full of fear, so stressed, with simple word. I think there is always a danger to be blinded in stressful situations, because somehow we don't function anymore so clearly through our mind. And in stressful situations, we are becoming different, and we started to believe certain things which are maybe not part of our original system of values and beliefs we carry within ourselves, you know. So it's easy to get confused and blinded. We are somehow sometimes double blinded. We don't really see anymore our true inner world and values and our own integrity, and we can be blinded by surroundings, by teams, by governments, you know, and whatever propaganda, you know. And when you are captured in this chaos, then I think it's time that you sit down, relax, and do a little bit of introspection, putting the lens on yourself and finding again your core, you know, your ground value. Who am I as a person? How I want to proceed in my life, what I want to do, what matters to me. That kind of, I think, daily self-talk, probably every conscious person goes through on daily basis. Yes, and I think we need to cherish it and nourish it and staying self-connected, deeply self-connected, because if you are not sincerely connected with our own essence, also our connections with other people will not be so sincere anymore.
More pragmatic, more functional question. Uh, Teachers and adjudicators. Most of time it is the same person. How you was in the past dealing with this? You know, like, because it is, honestly, it is tough, tough job to be somehow professionally both quite up. And you still today a top educator also, and you are a top teacher. So how it is work?
Well, you have to understand that you are wearing two different hats.
Change.
When you are a teacher, you are a teacher to particular people, to, let's say, people you teach either regularly or occasionally, doesn't really matter. But when you are judging, you are there to evaluate everyone who is on the floor, regardless your private or personal attachments and involvements. So just understanding that these are two different professions and not putting them in the same basket. I think that helps.
Is it difficult to separate that actually because it is two heads? Yeah.
Yeah, I think probably totally separate it is impossible, because we are all human beings with our own attachments, feelings, emotions, our own subjective experience. And as a judge, you need to keep your objectivity or transparency. And of course, we are doing mistakes as well. Not always consciously, you know, out of a goodwill sometimes. And then, of course, important is that you realize if you made a mistake, and more self-talk is needed, that you can keep your stance and your integrity on the right place. Different teams around and different cultures, and of course, people very often would take certain things as normal, although they are not normal. By the way, I just remembered, I just finished a very good book from Gabor Mate. The title is The Myth of Normal. You know, what we consider normal is not necessarily normal. You know,
Interesting.
the universal truth is something else that our own truth we feel inside ourselves. So I think I was as well lucky, you know, because when I started to judge as being 25 years old, I passed my exams. So my first international competition I was 26 years old in Cervia. And at that time, Cervia was, you know, over decades, one of the biggest festivals. And there I had the privilege to meet with all the giants, you know, like Bill and Bobby Irving, Loren, Peter Maxwell, Benny Tolmai. I mean, names were there. And I was observing, you know, of course, nobody would ever comment anything regarding judging, or there was no conversation regarding couples, you know. People were there to do their professional service. And I remember maybe I was 28 or 29, I was judging my first slagharen in Holland. And I was so nervous. And Benny Tolmeier was sitting at the same table before we went on the floor, and he could feel I was afraid. Of course, afraid of making a mistake, missing a good couple, or, you know, I didn't have experience and also not enough knowledge at that time to be considered as a valuable adjudicator. However, you know, he looked at me and he said in such a nice way, you know what, Barbara, when you judge, just have a soft eye. You know, later on, years after, I realized when we were preparing judging criteria, new model, together with Ruud Vermeij and Peter Maxwell and Nagode Ambroz, and Ruud introduced again a new way of perceiving. What is the difference when you look for something particular? You know, so through your school of thought, what you want to see, you know, these are my principles. If I don't see that, of course, I cannot judge it good. So looking for something narrows your perception. You know, you are very specific in your own small world. But looking at something is a much greater perspective. It's much more open. So suddenly you may become more accessible to also perceive values and qualities and beauty which does not belong to your small world, but they are out there to be perceived, and you suddenly start acknowledging them. And I think here is also one of the reasons how you can judge better, looking at what is, not looking for the number you are supposed to mark. You know?
How you do that or not?
Yes, yes.
That's a great idea, actually.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I think everything can go downhill when private interest takes over. You know, when the sense of community and acknowledgement that there are various schools of thought out there. I honor all schools of thought which are different from mine, because you can always learn something from them. You know, rather just going against something which is not your belief system. So if our community would reconnect, and especially if adjudicators would have more opportunity to be educated on the field of psychology, you know, or how human mind works, what are our conscious and subconscious layers, with which one we come across when we are in a stressful situation, because judging can be a stress.
It is.
And of course, in stressful situations, we do not function so clearly anymore through our prefrontal cortex.
Yeah, to make decisions for me was always tough, honestly. When I some big competition judge and you see this couple and this, and they're both fantastic.
Yeah.
You cannot say this one worse than another one.
Yeah.
And
it's cruel. It's in a way cruel. You have to mark people.
Yeah.
because sometimes it's not actually really possible, and then you have to go to your deepest beliefs or trying really to perceive details in order to know which one to give advantage. But I think you can never really be perfectly right. That's why we have panels, that's why we have more people in the panel, that in case you miss something, you know,
Some other
maybe
people,
your colleague
yeah.
will not miss it, and the chance that the result at the end will come across in a most possible fair way is much bigger, yes.
You know, like, because we touched already a little bit books and education and everything, and honestly, in particularly in our institution, ballroom Latin field or dance sport, whatever we say it, we don't have a lot of books. People doesn't write, and you are one of them actually who put that into the paper. So you write it an excellent book, this Back to Roots. What was actually push you to make the book?
Well, originally I never intended to write the book. It happened when I was writing the text for a documentary about Cuban experience, because there are several short videos out there, but at the end I've decided to do a short documentary how to implement authentic values into competitive dancing. And we were filming that documentary in the Roots studio in Amsterdam with assistance of Marius and Christina. And of course, I was analyzing authentic dance forms of cha-cha-cha and rumba bolero, and I wanted to explain, you know, why we use terms like Cuban timing, Cuban motion. I mean, there are many aspects of original dance forms which influenced ballroom dancing, competitive Latin American dancing. And while I was writing the text for that documentary, I realized, wow, I have a lot of material, you know, all the years of traveling around the world, lecturing, being a part of various workshops and seminars. So then when this text was done for the documentary, I said, maybe I could collect this material. And this is how the book happened, because the first part, of course, acknowledges whatever we managed to discover and become aware during these 5 years of Cuban Experience Project in Havana. And then the central part of the book is how we see competitive dancing through perspective of technique, music and movement dialogue, partnering skills, performing skills. And then I thought, okay, maybe now would be also nice to add a little bit of history. So I covered shortly a history of Cuban dancing, and especially dance forms which influenced our cha-cha-cha and rumba bolero. So this is how the book happened, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the book is
Not
great.
intentionally, really, from the beginning.
Yeah,
but
so it was not like a plan, you know, like, now I write the book.
No, that's exactly what I meant before when I mentioned that I feel all my life somehow beautifully guided, you know. The right idea comes across obviously at the right time, or when I'm maybe ready to deliver something. So yeah, it happened.
So you collect papers, what you have write it, and after that, one day you realize that you have a lot of papers.
Yeah, I did have. I then took, of course, some time off. We have a lovely place on an island in Croatia, Lošinj, and at the time,
Lošinj,
yes, it's beautiful. It's very quiet, and I usually was going there together with my mom and my auntie at least once per year, you know, for a certain period of time, just to be in this calm environment and nature and beauty, and of course also together with my mom and auntie, and you know, listening to all their stories. And then we traveled there a few times together, so I spent my days in the garden there and just shaping the materials.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's peaceful, calm, beautiful sounds.
Yeah,
actually,
like everything fell on the right place somehow, yeah.
Cool. So I advise everyone, if you not buy it yet, find, read it. Really compact a lot of good ideas there.
Yeah, DSI London.
Yeah.
They can order
Yeah.
online. DSI London is...
How do you see the development of dance today? Because you're witness of the generations, and it is, of course, different, was influenced, it impacted information and everything. Is it dancing going right direction? No, it's not a good question. Forget about this. So, how you see the development of dance today?
Well, everything develops, you know, if we look back, what kind of cars were on the street 60 years ago and today, you know, you see a big difference. I mean,
true.
Technology, of course, now with whatever is available online, access to a good information in comparison to my early days when we were watching 8mm films, you know, to see the best. I still remember watching Espen and Kirsten Salberg, you know, or Donnie and Gaynor, and we were admiring them because firstly, we didn't have money to travel abroad and to learn from greats, you know. But nowadays, of course, online you can find so much of a good information, so much of a good examples of good dancing. And of course, many books were as well written over the past decade. So access to a good information is easy. So we have to make sure we find that good information.
Yeah.
Dancing is developing accordingly to how society is developing. Maybe at the moment it is a bit stressful in some areas in order, you know, to gain something, whatever, if that is a result or a recognition or becoming the best. We are somehow very much future focused. You know, we are gasping for something we need to have. And I think in that state of mind, when you are gasping for something in front, that has impact also on the way how dancers, for example, perceive their body weight, their groundness. Many of them dance very high today, you know, ahead of time, because they don't have that inner peace to truly connect it within themselves, first of all, and then with partner, and then with music. And I think our job as trainers is to let them see that they might be captured in a state where they don't want to be. Because good dancing only can happen if you are truly here and now, present, aware, with clear idea in your head.
True.
Possibly one at a time, you know, not having now 50 ideas from 50 different teachers from the past 6 months, you know.
Right.
So how to put that all together in a functional value? I think we expose dancers to very tough situations nowadays, because there are many dancers out there who don't have their own coach, a person they can really consult and, you know, plan the development, and then a close team of teachers they trust and they work with them because they want to learn from them, not because they want to be marked by them on the next competition. So not probably the best possible time to grow as a dancer nowadays. On another hand, you see, everything is available. Good information is available. So I think you have to have enough common sense to make good decisions for yourself as a dancer or as a coach. But there is a lot of potential out there. I mean, really gorgeous dancers.
Do you like the way how the dancers move today? Yeah.
Well, depends who I look at. Some move gorgeously. You know, I think the ones I would really look with pleasure and interest are the ones who have a balance. You can recognize immediately they have deep awareness and embodied knowledge about fundamental principles, that they operate their agency is strong, so they act out of their inner world, which is full of stable beliefs, so they are not confused. Of course, what attracts every eye is always when it's truthful, when it's sincere, and we can immediately see when someone is acting out and it's about me, me and me, in comparison to someone who expresses through the dance. So it's about the dance. I think it's easy to recognize the dancer who is well trained with the right fundamental values behind, absolutely acknowledging also the beauty and the mystery of highly developed partnering skills, for example. You can immediately see if they have knowledge about the music, because they would connect with music differently. So yes, there are big differences in between aware and well-trained and unaware and not well-trained dancers on the field. And yes, then the eye would go to where your school of thought finds a sense.
Bravo.
You know?
True. You look what you actually want to see, and after that you search that on the floor when you look in the dancing.
And if you like speed and run and attack and a lot of impact, you
will look that.
And also probably reward that as a judge. You know?
Yeah.
I think we have to have a lot of understanding for each other and in a way empathy, you know, because we come from very different environments and we are shaped through different life histories and stories. So taking all that on board, I think we have to be understandable towards each other, rather, you know, accusing people who don't see it the same way as we do. You know, a little bit softer touch.
Softer touch, I like that soft focus you said.
Yeah, that comes with age, you know, you soften down. Yeah. When you first came to Slovenia, I was not like that, you know. I think I was much rougher. May I tell the story?
It was like 90s.
I would like to share with your audience the story how we first met. No, I think it's a lovely story because you came as a young man in July for 3 weeks and you said, Barbara, I would like to have 70 lessons.
Hello.
And I was thinking, oh, poor...
My English was awful in that time.
Poor guy. Yeah, I thought... He probably means 17, but definitely not 70. And I was thinking, I cannot give him 17 private lessons in 3 weeks because there were about, I think, 70 couples at that workshop
yes,
at the time.
It was a lot.
It was a huge one.
Yes.
So I tried to explain to you that I will do my best, but probably you will get maybe 12 in 3 weeks. And then I realized that actually you meant 70. You worked very hard in Ukraine to earn the money.
70.
Yeah.
Private lessons.
However, well, I fell in love with you as a dancer at the very beginning because you were wild and you were so enthusiastic. And then that same summer at the German Open, you were wearing dark gray trousers with white stripes and vest and a white shirt. Yes, and a tie.
Yes, always kind of like this.
You had good style and you also had a good result.
Yeah.
So I thought, look at him, he's a fighter. And
we went 7th place in youth category, just stay with the one course, not make it the final on the GOTS youth category, because I think of this preparation. And I was really like working the whole summer, collected, because I counted, okay, 3 weeks, so I would like to have every day 4 or 5 lessons. That's why I'm coming.
That's very much Eastern mentality, you know.
I was never regret to spend money on the knowledge. So I still have the right at everything, some private lessons. Yes, from the past.
Me too.
But I was wanted to the 70 lessons.
You see? Here we go. Well, later on through decades, it turned out that not only your sparkle or enthusiasm you still carry up to the present day as a person, but it was also your creativity, because the choreographies you were doing and the shows, especially the one you won with Katya in Miami, I mean, these are memorable things, yes, without doubt.
I need to say that story too because that's what I know. How I started, how I actually moved to Slovenia. Because on one this training camp, Katya was actually choosing between me and one Russian boy, and Barbara gave the advice and said like dance with him. So Katya decided to dance with me instead of this Russian boy, and that's how I came to Slovenia actually.
You see? And you stayed.
Yes, stay forever.
That's nice.
No, it was for me definitely a miracle to come to that dancing environment. It was really wow. It is influenced a lot on everything what I actually make in dancing. Not only as a dancer, but the way how it shaped my mind, how I was thinking, the way how I see the dancing. I need to say this period which I spent in Ushka, in Ljubljana, with you, with Nagode Ambroz, Peter Maxwell, Ruth Vermeyen, all these main teachers who was coming at that time, definitely create kind of vision. And I really need to say like thanks to all of you for that, because it's created a great significant period in my life. But it's not about me. So what advice do you have for younger dancers who starting now, who is already in process of discover the dance?
Well, I generally do not give opinions or advices because, you know, through my life experience, which probably has nothing to do with a young dancer life experience so far or their vision, I think it's the best to speak with young people and try to recognize what is it inside them, you know, what they're good at, into what they would invest. Because I think all the period of years of training and studying, it's actually an investment into your own growth. So all I could probably say is invest well.
Invest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sure. Yeah, dancing is great things.
Yeah, you can come closer to yourself. That's for sure.
Barbara, thank you very much for that lovely conversation.
Thank you also. It was a big pleasure.